Okay, today we're going to practice the decomposition lab that's there, and I actually taught this during class. So those of you that were not in class, we actually completed this entire thing in class. So I thought what I would do is kind of help you guys get started on this, and you can shut this off once you get it, or you can work on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I set up this the lab by doing this. It says decompose each function into two new functions, u and v, where v is the inside function. So if you see here, I've got u of v of x. See how this right here is my inside function right here? So what I did was, all the way down the page, I put my v of x on the top, which is my inside, and my u of x, which is my outside function, underneath it. So I went through this whole paper and did that. So if you want to stop this video and do that prior to going on, you can. And basically, when you decompose a function, you already have a composition already. So here I have f of x. It's already done. It's already got a function within another function. And you're basically kind of going backwards to figure out what were the two functions, making sure that v of x was my inside function, that if I were to put this v of x inside of u of x, I would end up with that function. So radicals are the easiest ones to start with. So I said, okay, what's underneath the radical? Well, I have 3 minus 5x. Now, if I said that was my inside function, my outside function would have to be radical x, that if I put 3 minus 5x in that spot, I would end up with that function. Okay? This one right here, I'm going to write it like this, box to the fourth plus box squared. So if I were going to pick an inside function, something small, if I picked x squared, and then I wanted to put it in this box here, because I want it to be x to the fourth, I would say, oh, I could make my outside function x squared plus, and a lot of times say, I'm just going to put a 1 there, but you need to be able to put your x squared there, so it's x squared plus x. So looking at this, if I take this x squared, plug it in that x squared spot, that would be x to the fourth. If I plug the x squared in this spot, it would be x squared, because remember, these are just placeholders. Okay? The next one here, I have 1 minus radical x. So I picked as my inside function, which I try to go small, would be, I'm going to say my inside function is radical x. If I go and say, can I put that in? If I put it in the function 1 minus x, I would end up with 1 minus radical x. V of x, another one. If I were to do this one right here, I'd look at it and say, okay, I think I'm going to use 1 minus x, which is inside the radical, and I have to plug it in that spot, so that would be my function. Now, just one thing I want to tell you, you can never make your inside function just x. That is like a really obvious answer, and that's not allowed. Okay, so 5, I'm going to say my inside function is x squared, and if I plug that into the function 1 over x, I would end up with 1 over x squared. You again can stop this at any time, see if you can try some on your own and see if you're doing it right. My inside function for this one is I picked 1 over x. My outside would be 2 plus x, because I could put it in that x spot and I would end up with that function. 7, the inside function I left is 1 minus x. The outside was 1 over x. As the same thing, if I put it in the x spot, it will be that function. Okay. Now, this one right here, there's a couple ways to do some of these, and I want you to see this one right here. So the first thing you could do is say, I want my inside function to be radical x. If that's the case, my outside function could be 2 over 1 plus x, and that would work, and I would get that function. I've also had students say, well, you know what? I want my inside function to be 1 plus radical x. If I put it in another function, I could put it in 2 over x, and I'd end up the same way. So sometimes there's more than one way to do this. 9, I let my inside function be 2x minus 1. My outside function I left as 3 to the x. Okay? Another way to do that one is you could have your inside function as 2x. That could be 3 to the x minus 1. Either one will work. This last one here, if I let 4x squared be my inside function, my outside function could be radical 1 minus x. Or the other way to do that one is I could let my inside function be 1 minus 4x squared. My outside function would be radical x. So both of those will work. Now, what I'm going to do now is show you that you can decompose even more into 3 different functions. And in this case, we have u, v, and w. W is my inside function, u is my outside, v is like in the middle. So again, I went inside all the way to outside. And if you want to stop this video, make sure that you want to make sure that you have all these written down all the way down. I started with W. I did it for the whole paper so that as I go to do this, then I can fill it in. All right. So here I've got to start really small because there's a middle. So I'm going to do my inside function is x squared. My middle would be 1 minus x. My outside would be radical x because I'd put the x squared in the x spot. That would give me the 1 minus x squared. And then I'd throw that in the radical and that would give me my function. Okay. The next one I did was this fraction 1 over 1 minus 2x. So I've got to have something small, so I picked 2x. My middle I made is 1 minus x. My outside is 1 over x. Then if I put the 2x in the x spot, I'll have the denominator, and then I would just throw it in that spot to come up with that fraction. 13, my small inside function x minus 1. My middle one would be radical x. My outside would be 1 minus x. So I'd throw that in that spot, and then I would throw all that into the x for the u of x. This one right here, my small one was 1 over x. My middle was 1 plus x. And my outside was x squared. And my last one here could be done several different ways, but I could pick x plus 1. My middle would be 1 plus 1 over x. My outside would be 1 over x. Or another way to do that one would say my inside function is 1 over x plus 1. My middle would be 1 plus x. My outside would be 1 over x. Both of those would work equally well. So I hope this helps you. If not, make sure that you get a hold of me and that I can help you out with it. So let me stop this video.